Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for as little as $9 a month or less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at MMTLP and the focus was on FINRA's response to Roza's claim. So what FINRA added in terms of a response was summarised in the previous video. So let's have a quick recap of some of these claims that FINRA added. So what's notable here, number 2, they identified that they deleted MMTLP on the 13th of 12 but did not cancel MMTLP. They also stated that they notified all brokers to halt trading on the 13th of December. They are stating that Roza did not allege any imminent harm. So obviously people who invested their hard-earned life savings in many cases were not victims of harm. FINRA is also determining that there was going to be major disruption to the market. But what's interesting here is number 11 and 12. FINRA is immune from claims related to market regulatory activity. So that's a very dangerous statement in my opinion. Basically saying immune means they can do anything with that they require without consequence. Then they go on further in number 12 to say FINRA has absolute immunity for its regulatory functions. So do not question us. Do not tell us what to do. We have absolute immunity. So this is these are some of the responses from FINRA's claims. So for a more detailed analysis of that, please refer back to the previous video. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at fighting back from FINRA, what we can do as investors, what we can do collectively. But before we go any further, I'd like to give a shout out to Karras, who's added on 3 additional claims that FINRA maybe missed out. So let's have a look at what Karras has added. And he suggested here that FINRA could have also added on. FINRA was self-created by parthenogenesis from an extraterrestrial object, so it has a self-regulation and self-investigation department to handle everything. We know better. So it sounds like FINRA are coming from overseas, should we say from a different planet, ET, extraterrestrial, and are a law unto themselves. He's also stated number 16, FINRA was created by God, who has granted them immunity to everything solely to us, all down to earth. People have submitted to the Bible. God bless FINRA only and nobody else. And then number 18 from Karras, he's also stated that FINRA also failed to add in, now you come and say, give me justice and don't ask with respect. You don't offer friendship. You don't even think to call me Godfather. So this is the impression that many investors are having. So they are basically saying FINRA is like a godfather. You could even say like a bully, and basically saying we are untouchable. So having looked at the arguments presented by FINRA, in my opinion, I think many of these arguments are quite weak. They're also very dismissive. They also do not seem to address some of the key issues. And some of these key issues that we as investors have asked for include transparency, clear, open and communication, and also an explanation of what specifically are their reasons. So these could be, was it because of the cost to the hedge funds? Was it because of basically they were under any undue influence? The allegations from investors' point of view is, first of all, investors have invested their earnings in terms of risk versus reward. So the risk was we invested all of our money with 100% risk, but it should have been the same for the shorts and the hedge funds, but obviously an explanation in terms of the SEC rules requiring shorts to close their positions has not been addressed by FINRA, and they have also not explained what exactly was the risk to the investors and what was the uncertainty. So what I've decided to do now is have a look at FINRA Fightback and what can we do collectively, individually, and in terms of going forward. Certainly one thing I think we all agree on, and that that is not to give up. So on the screen here, I've identified 10 actions that we can focus on. So the first one is something which is an alternative to legal action, and that is pursue FINRA's arbitration option. So if we have a look at this on their website, so this is an alternative to litigation, it's an alternative to mediation. The awards are rendered by independent arbitrators. So basically what this may mean, or it certainly implies, that the people who are going to make a decision could be people not involved and have a connection to FINRA. So that's what they're saying. They also states here that the rules must be approved by the SEC. That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we require. Closeout rules and the rules involving risk to investors and risk to short and hedge funds. And it also states here all parties must abide by the award unless it is successfully challenged in court. So the good news here is even if as expected any arbitration is not successful, we will still have the option of challenging this in court. So it doesn't rule it out, so that option is always there. So that's number one. Number two, I think obviously we've seen that the FINRA have claimed this immunity. We're currently looking at obviously why this is, because obviously they're not a government organization. They are independent and they are focused on their immunity and their absolute immunity. So maybe what we could do is maybe focus a little bit more on the SEC. So they have authority and power over FINRA, and they also a government regulator, and they should also come under the Freedom of Information Act. So channeling a little bit more energy towards the SEC is also another option. Number three, focus more on allegations of fraud and misrepresentation. So the reason why I've identified number three is fraud and misrepresentation are going to cross over the boundaries into criminal law. So if there is fraud, if there is allegations of misrepresentation, then that certainly becomes a criminal matter. If we look at Sam Bankman-Fried, he was arrested. The reason why he was arrested, because that is a criminal matter. So it involves the police, it involves a criminal trial. So in our case, if there is proven fraud, if there is proven misrepresentation, then this is something that FINRA will not be able to defend itself from. Number four, continue and push for engagement of senators and Congress, because obviously these are the lawmakers, these are the people of influence, these are the people in government, and obviously if change comes from the top, then that is something that certainly could make a big difference. So we will continue hopefully with that. Number five, I think as a team of investors and a team carrying out research and due diligence, what I have seen, especially in the Twitter space chats, the expertise, the knowledge, the due diligence, collectively in terms of everybody is excellent. So I think if we all work together, and I think if we can search case history against FINRA, it is difficult in terms of what I have seen. Some of it involves employment history. There is probably what I've just seen today. A lot of it seems to be undercover and confidential, but more in-depth case history and search in terms of allegations and case history against FINRA, certainly that would help as well, especially with regard to creating precedent and using precedents. So 5 and 6 combining together, if we can have a system where we can collect, collaborate and store information together, that would certainly help in any future obviously arguments and presentations. And rather than things being shared X, Y and Z here, there and everywhere, if we can collectively put them together, and suggestions about that would certainly be welcome, but that certainly would definitely help us going forward. So moving on to number 7, I did speak to Roza privately yesterday and talking about in terms of the actions, the overview and a few other things as well. So in terms of what we can do as a community of investors is certainly support Roza, her actions. I think it's a tremendous move for her not to comment and not reveal her plan. I think that is definitely something that we agree on, and I think as a community in terms of what we could do, maybe collectively help her financially going forward. Right now I don't think it's been a huge burden on her financially, but as the case progresses, this may certainly change. So we could look at angles and avenues for us as investors to help her fight the cause. She is there fighting on her own, and obviously victory for her would certainly help all of us. And just remember, her case is not about money. Her case is about obviously the removal of the 2 days trading. So certainly FINRA are saying they have immunity because they don't provide financial awards. We're not looking for a financial award. We're looking for a correction, restraint of trade in terms of the Sherman Act. So that was number 7. So moving on, I think another thing that we can also do that will help, especially Roza, is a fight for discovery. So let's have a look at what this basically means. So on the screen here, you see discovery is an exchange of legal information so that all sides find out and know the facts of the case. So this is a problem that we are having. The facts of the case all remain with the SEC, all remain with FINRA. They have the data, they have the information. We are basically resorting to avenues such as speculating, collecting data from investors. But FINRA have everything. So if we can have discovery, access to the data, access to the information, then that would certainly help us in our fight. But unfortunately, surprise, surprise, FINRA are not revealing all the information. So we are trying, you could say we are fighting with one hand tied behind our back because we do not have access to the information. So certainly a fight for discovery would help our cause. Number 9, consider actions against brokers and hedge funds. So these do not have immunity. These do not have legal protection. Brokers are liable to action, but the problem we now have, brokers and the hedge funds, they're going to blame FINRA, and FINRA are going to claim immunity. So the brokers have got a little bit of an argument. So we now need to channel and see if we can tackle the brokers, tackle the hedge funds in a way that excuses their excuse of using FINRA as a defense. And then finally, number 10, keep all options open. We should not rule anything out. That's certainly my opinion. Continue to fight until we get justice, and however long that takes. Obviously we want a quick resolution. We want this to end quickly, but what I also would like everybody to do is certainly agree on not stopping and not going away. The final thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to some of the viewers who have added some interesting comments. So let's have a look at what the take is from investors and viewers. So first shout out here is to Jay Mile, who stated, so FINRA clearly believes they are not only above the law. In their mind, they are the law. Got it? This is all going to come down to the judge and the perception of FINRA. Is he intimidated by them, or does he take their arrogance as a challenge? Place your bet. So FINRA certainly seem to be arrogant in their response. Fully agree with J Mile. They are basically, as J Mile is saying, they believe they are the law, they are the supervisory body. So over to the judge. The judge, remember that response from FINRA is not the outcome. The outcome is going to be decided by a judge. So hopefully the judge is impartial. So next shout out here is to Kevin Fitzpatrick. So let's see what Kevin has stated. He said, this is ludicrous that FINRA has no liability. Has anyone ever had a case similar to this one and won? Well, that's certainly one that we're going to be researching. He's feeling depressed and after hearing the response from FINRA claiming immunity. These are diplomats from another country. Unfortunately not. They are from the United States. What the hell is this? Who would create something like FINRA? So remember, FINRA are very, very cleverly exempt from the Freedom of Information Act because they're not a public body, but they're public funded. So who pays FINRA? Every single person who is a taxpayer in the United States. You are paying for FINRA's wages. So basically, they've also said, Kevin has also stated, I need some hope to know if there's any chance of, after hearing this is the end of the stock trading fairness. This has legalized stealing using illegal methods. That's how investors feel. They've lost collectively millions and millions of pounds of hard-earned life savings. I'm not going to read out DI Unit's first statement there, but he basically states they are douchebags who run the place that think they are the law, stay positive and don't worry. So certainly agree with the second part there. Let's now move over to Rick. What Rick has said is hopefully the judge sees through the BS and what FINRA has actually done and continues to do. So good comment there from Rick. Serene has chipped in and stated here, very well articulated and debunked. Ali, FINRA's arguments are weak, 100% agree, not substantial. They're talking about immunity, they're talking about risk to the market. They've completely ignored the risk to the investors of MMTLP. Hopefully we see light at the end of the tunnel very, very soon. And the final shout out is to Uday Kanth, who's added in here, looks like FINRA has got themselves in a real fix here. They're digging their own grave. Now please tell us, FINRA, how do you determine major disruption to the market? Well, they haven't explained that one, so good point there. What were the facts that went into making that determination? Self-regulatory body does not mean self-serving body. So let's have some FINRAs, let's have some answers, let's have some justice, and let's have some fairness. And finally, if you'd like to get access to our weekly watch list, in the previous week's weekly watch list, we called out some excellent stocks. MULN, that was up 47% on the week. ATNF, another one, 191% on the week. Could have a little bit more room to run. And we also called out SCRX, that was up about 73% on the week. So if you'd like to get the next copy of the weekly watch list, this will be hopefully available tomorrow, so you can certainly join us. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.